There's a breed of men who don't play by society's rules, men who move in silence, yet somehow command the loudest respect. Unlike the majority who chase validation, recognition, and approval, the Sigma male detaches himself from the game altogether. This detachment doesn't make him invisible. In fact, it makes him more magnetic. People are naturally intrigued by what they can't control or fully understand, and the Sigma embodies that paradox. He doesn't chase respect, but respect follows him. He doesn't demand attention, yet attention gravitates toward his stillness. This is why ordinary men often envy him, not because he's louder, richer, or more dominant, but because he refuses to need what they worship. Human social structures, both in history and psychology, are built on hierarchies. From tribes to corporations, dominance and submission dictate much of human interaction. The alpha thrives by leading and competing. The beta follows through cooperation, and the omega often withdraws in resignation. But the sigma is different. He exists outside that chain. He doesn't seek to dominate nor to submit. He operates independently, creating his own systems and pathways. In sociological terms, this positions him as a lone wolf, someone who can function within a group if necessary, but doesn't depend on it for his identity or power. And in a world where conformity is the norm, genuine independence becomes the rarest and most envied form of strength. What makes the Sigma especially compelling is not rebellion for rebellion's sake, but quiet mastery. He thrives on self-discipline, critical thinking, and inner focus. Research in psychology shows that people with high levels of self-reliance often outperform peers in creative problem-solving because they're less influenced by groupthink. That's the Sigma advantage. He doesn't blindly follow trends, he questions them. He doesn't waste energy proving himself, he invests it in becoming himself. This quiet refusal to play society's games is why others both admire and resent him. So this isn't about glorifying the Sigma, it's about revealing the mindset that sets him apart. To live like a Sigma is to reject the pre-written scripts and carve your own. And in a world obsessed with noise, his silence becomes the loudest roar. Habit 1. Strategic detachment. Ordinary men often find themselves caught in a relentless cycle of comparison, measuring their worth against the achievements, possessions, and social status of others. It's a subtle form of captivity. The more they look around, the smaller they feel, and the more effort they expend trying to fit into a system that dictates success according to someone else's rules. The Sigma male, however, has mastered the art of detachment. He doesn't conform to societal expectations or seek validation from peers, bosses, or social media metrics. Instead, he evaluates life on his own terms, pursuing personal growth, meaningful experiences, and independence rather than recognition. This ability to disengage from external pressures is not mere laziness or apathy. It's strategic freedom. Psychologists have long noted that chronic comparison can trigger anxiety and reduce life satisfaction, and the Sigma's detachment acts as a natural shield against these psychological traps. By stepping away from the race for approval, he maintains mental clarity and emotional equilibrium, giving him a unique form of power that ordinary men envy. Interestingly, this doesn't mean he rejects society entirely. Rather, he participates selectively, engaging in systems and communities only when they align with his principles or serve his long-term goals. This selective engagement allows him to conserve energy and focus on what truly matters, avoiding the exhaustion that comes from trying to keep up with everyone else. His detachment also fosters creativity and independent thinking, as he isn't constrained by popular opinion or trends. Historical examples of individuals who demonstrated this Sigma-like detachment include artists, inventors, and thinkers who prioritized vision over approval, such as Nikola Tesla or Emily Dickinson, who pursued their work quietly, often isolated, yet left an impact that transcended conventional measures of success. The Sigma's freedom from societal comparison also gives him an aura of mystery, confidence, and authenticity, qualities that draw others to him, often unknowingly. In essence, his detachment is both a shield and a weapon. It protects him from the pitfalls of constant validation seeking while positioning him to act decisively, creatively, and autonomously. Ordinary men, chained by their need for approval, may never fully grasp this quiet but formidable power, which makes the Sigma male a figure of silent admiration and subtle influence in any environment. Habit 2. Moving unnoticed. The The Sigma male's mastery of invisibility is less about physical disappearance and more about social and psychological presence, or the strategic lack thereof. Unlike the average man who seeks validation and thrives on constant attention, the Sigma has learned the power of subtlety. He knows when to blend in with the crowd, adopting the rhythm of his surroundings without drawing unnecessary eyes or energy. This ability to withdraw is not a sign of weakness or fear, but a calculated maneuver, allowing him to observe, analyze, and understand the dynamics around him without interference. Psychologists studying social behavior often note that individuals who can step back and disengage from social pressures gain a distinct advantage in decision-making, as they are less likely to be swayed by groupthink or emotional manipulation. The Sigma's unpredictability is a natural extension of this skill. People around him can never fully anticipate his moves, which creates an aura of intrigue and subtle authority. This unpredictability is not chaotic, but deliberate, rooted in careful observation and timing. By appearing only when it serves a purpose, the Sigma exerts a quiet control over his environment. He influences outcomes not by force, but by strategic presence. Interestingly, this aligns with behavioral studies that highlight how human attention is disproportionately captured by those who are inconsistent or selectively visible, as our brains are wired to seek patterns and explanations. The Sigma leverages this cognitive tendency to his advantage, maintaining an enigmatic profile that encourages curiosity, respect, and sometimes envy. Moreover, his invisibility allows him to navigate social hierarchies without being trapped in conventional roles or expectations, giving him freedom that most people rarely experience. In practice, this means he can enter a room unnoticed, assess the dynamics, and choose exactly when and how to engage, maximizing influence without confrontation. Over time, this behavior fosters a reputation not just for intelligence or skill, but for a kind of almost mystical awareness of timing, space, and human nature. It's a subtle, often misunderstood form of power, one that does not demand attention but quietly commands it, making others wonder and sometimes even fear how he consistently seems to be one step ahead. Through invisibility, the Sigma male exemplifies the art of selective engagement, turning presence and absence into strategic tools for personal and social mastery. Habit 3, self-reliance. The Sigma male's strength is not borrowed, it is meticulously crafted. Unlike those who rely on external support or safety nets, he cultivates a self-reliance that permeates every aspect of his life, from finances to problem solving. This is not simply about having money or intelligence. It is a disciplined approach to developing the skills and resilience necessary to navigate the world independently. For instance, when it comes to finances, the Sigma doesn't just save or invest blindly. He learns the mechanics of wealth creation, understanding investments, passive income streams, and resource management in a way that allows him to operate without fear of sudden setbacks. In problem solving, he studies patterns, anticipates challenges, and often solves issues before they even arise, turning obstacles into opportunities for growth. This independence makes him untouchable because his stability and power do not rely on anyone else. Ordinary men, by contrast, often depend on networks, social validation, or established systems to maintain their position. This dependency, while seemingly convenient, makes them vulnerable to change, manipulation, and failure. The Sigma's self-built foundation is a fortress. He is aware that real power stems not from influence over others, but from mastery over oneself. Historically, many figures admired for their ingenuity and resilience, from inventors like Nikola Tesla to explorers like Ernest Shackleton, embodied this principle. They relied on skill, preparation, and ingenuity rather than external assistance. In modern life, this translates into a mindset of continuous improvement, learning new skills, adapting to challenges, and making calculated decisions that reinforce independence. It also involves emotional resilience. The Sigma doesn't seek validation from social circles or external authorities, but builds confidence from competence and personal achievement. Ordinary men may envy this because it is rare, requiring patience, discipline, and the willingness to endure periods of isolation or struggle. The Sigma's strength is not flashy or performative, yet it is undeniable. By owning his foundation, he ensures that no circumstance, person, or crisis can destabilize him. He is not only prepared for life's uncertainties, but thrives in them, embodying a level of freedom and self-determination that others can only aspire to. In essence, the Sigma male demonstrates that true power is internal, cultivated through persistent effort, unwavering focus, and a refusal to outsource the most important aspects of his life. Habit 4. Monastic focus. In a world buzzing with notifications, endless scrolling, and constant interruptions, the Sigma male's focus stands out as almost mythical. While most people allow their attention to drift from one fleeting interest to another, the Sigma operates like a precision instrument. When he sets his mind on a goal, whether it's mastering a complex skill, diving deep into a field of study, or building a business from scratch, he commits completely, often to the point of obsession. Neuroscience shows that this kind of deep focus, sometimes called flow, allows the brain to work at peak efficiency, making learning faster, problem-solving sharper, and creativity more potent. Ordinary men, by contrast, tend to divide their attention across countless distractions, which research has linked to decreased productivity and cognitive fatigue. What makes the Sigma's approach even more enviable is not just the intensity, but the consistency. He doesn't rely on fleeting bursts of motivation. He cultivates discipline, understanding that sustained effort over time compounds into results that others can only dream of. This is why Sigmas often achieve mastery in areas where others plateau, whether in intellectual pursuits, entrepreneurship, or artistic endeavors. Their focus is not rigid or robotic, it is strategic. The Sigma chooses his mission carefully, understanding which objectives align with his long-term vision, and ruthlessly ignores the noise that tempts others into wasted effort. Psychologists note that this type of selective attention is a hallmark of high-performing individuals, allowing them to filter out distractions and maintain clarity even under pressure. In social situations, this laser-like dedication can make the Sigma appear enigmatic, even intimidating, because people sense the underlying intensity driving him. Ordinary men, accustomed to spreading their energy thin across social media, casual hobbies, and superficial pursuits, can't help but feel a mix of admiration and envy. They see the Sigma cutting through the chaos of modern life with remarkable precision, turning potential into results and vision into reality. In essence, the Sigma's lethal focus is not just a personal advantage, it is a form of power. It transforms ordinary effort into extraordinary accomplishment, proving that in a distracted world, the ability to concentrate is not just rare, it is revolutionary. Habit 5. Ghosting as a strategy. The Sigma male's relationship with time, energy, and personal boundaries is a defining aspect of his persona, and it's something that ordinary men often secretly envy. Unlike most people who feel obligated to explain themselves, seek approval, or fight to maintain every connection, the Sigma recognizes that his time and energy are finite and sacred. If someone disrespects him, whether by wasting his time, depleting his energy, or violating his boundaries, he doesn't hesitate. He withdraws instantly, and importantly, he does so without explanation or apology. This isn't arrogance, it's a deep understanding of cause and effect, the principle that not all engagements are worthy of his presence. Where others may argue, plead, or rationalize staying in toxic relationships, the Sigma embraces detachment, knowing that absence often communicates far more than words ever could. Historically, great thinkers and leaders have demonstrated similar detachment. Figures like Nikola Tesla or Bruce Lee understood the power of prioritizing focus over social obligation, allowing them to preserve mental energy for what truly mattered. This capacity for strategic withdrawal is why many perceive Sigma men as mysterious or untouchable. Silence, in this context, is not emptiness but a deliberate, powerful tool. While confrontation can escalate conflict, silence can establish respect and command authority in a way that words rarely achieve. Ordinary men, often conditioned to fear loss or rejection, cling to relationships, even ones that drain or harm them, because social validation feels safer than solitude. The Sigma, however, thrives in independence. He understands that true influence does not come from constant engagement, but from presence and intentionality. He does not fear disappearing from someone's life because he recognizes that his absence is a natural consequence of self-respect and discernment. This detachment is not passive. It is active mastery over one's environment, energy, and priorities. The ability to withdraw without guilt, explanation, or drama is a skill that requires both emotional intelligence and self-confidence. And it is precisely this skill that ignites both admiration and envy in others. In a world where people are tethered by fear, social obligation, or emotional insecurity, the Sigma male's refusal to compromise on his boundaries is a quiet yet profound declaration of freedom, a freedom that ordinary men often wish they could claim for themselves. Habit 6. Unshakable boundaries. In today's fast-paced, image-driven world, the ability to assert one's boundaries with unwavering clarity is a rare and powerful skill. The man who isn't swayed by flattery, status, or social pressure exemplifies a kind of quiet strength that many aspire to, but few truly achieve. When he says no, it's not a hesitant refusal or a polite suggestion. It is absolute, final, and resolute. This firmness doesn't come from arrogance or isolation. It comes from a deep understanding of self-worth and personal values. Psychological research on assertiveness highlights that individuals who maintain firm boundaries tend to experience higher levels of self-respect, reduced stress, and better interpersonal relationships because they communicate honestly and avoid the resentment that arises from saying yes when they truly mean no. Unlike the majority who bend to gain approval or avoid conflict, he operates from a place of authenticity, not performance. His boundaries are not rigid walls meant to shut people out, but gates he opens and closes with intentionality, allowing only what aligns with his principles and rejecting what doesn't. This precision reflects emotional intelligence as he navigates complex social dynamics without losing himself in the process. Neuroscience even suggests that people who enforce their boundaries experience greater mental clarity and emotional resilience, as they are less likely to be drained by external pressures or manipulated by others' agendas. Observers often envy this trait because it represents freedom, the freedom to act according to one's values, the freedom to prioritize one's own well-being, and the freedom to interact with the world on one's own terms. In a society where so many chase validation and approval, the ability to remain unshaken is magnetic and commanding without being domineering. He inspires respect, not through intimidation, but through the quiet, unwavering demonstration of self-control and integrity. In essence, his firmness is a blueprint for anyone seeking balance between compassion and self-preservation. It is proof that true strength lies not in dominance or aggression, but in the ability to decide decisively, act consistently, and honor one's own standards above the sway of fleeting external forces. This is a skill, a mindset, and a lifestyle that transforms interactions, relationships, and ultimately the trajectory of one's life. Habit 7. Skill mastery. The Sigma male's approach to life is fundamentally different from the average man's. While many focus on appearances, accolades, or the approval of others, the Sigma invests in true mastery, a quiet, relentless dedication to becoming exceptional in his chosen fields. This isn't about showing off or collecting trophies. It's about developing skills and knowledge to such a degree that competence itself becomes undeniable. Whether it's in business, he studies market trends, psychology, and negotiation tactics to consistently make strategic moves. In combat, he hones reflexes, awareness, and discipline, often training in multiple disciplines to maintain adaptability. In creativity, he experiments, practices, and learns from failures until his work carries a signature of excellence. In strategy, he observes, calculates, and anticipates outcomes with precision. Ordinary men, on the other hand, often spend more energy performing than preparing. They chase visibility, recognition, or immediate results, but lack the depth of skill or insight to back it up. The Sigma's mastery is like a slow-burning engine, quiet, powerful, and inexorably effective, while the average man's efforts resemble fireworks, flashy, temporary, and largely superficial. Historical examples abound. Leonardo da Vinci spent years sketching, experimenting, and studying anatomy long before the world recognized his genius. Similarly, in modern business, innovators like Elon Musk quietly immerse themselves in learning engineering, physics, and business strategy before their breakthroughs become headline news. What makes the Sigma enviable is not arrogance or aggression, but a magnetic combination of competence, self-discipline, and foresight. People sense it instinctively, often feeling inferior because the Sigma has spent decades cultivating skills and knowledge that can't be faked, while the rest are left chasing applause for efforts that rarely translate into true mastery. This dynamic underscores a timeless principle. Preparation outweighs performance, and mastery always commands respect, whether it is loudly acknowledged or quietly observed. Habit 8, freedom over recognition. Perhaps the most envied habit of a Sigma male is his unshakable devotion to freedom over validation. While most men seek acknowledgement, applause, and approval from their peers or society, the Sigma walks a different path, one guided by self-reliance and inner conviction rather than external recognition. He is the man who would rather live unnoticed yet fully autonomous than occupy the spotlight, but remain bound by expectations, social norms, or obligations he never chose. This preference for autonomy doesn't make him antisocial, it makes him discerning. He engages with others, yet he does so on his terms, and this independence creates a magnetic aura that others instinctively notice and secretly envy. Psychologists have noted that individuals who prioritize intrinsic rewards over extrinsic validation often exhibit higher resilience, creativity, and satisfaction in life because they are not constantly tethered to fluctuating opinions or societal pressures. This independence allows the Sigma male to pursue interests, ideas, and passions that might appear unconventional, risky, or misunderstood, yet he is unbothered by judgment. It unnerves men who secretly crave applause, for it reminds them of the invisible chains they carry, the need to perform, to impress, to belong. In contrast, the Sigma's life, though quieter, is unshackled and profound. He embodies the paradox of being both present and detached, influential yet untouched by the desire for recognition. The freedom he cultivates is not simply the absence of constraint, but the presence of self-mastery, a mastery that fascinates and intimidates, that draws admiration even from those who cannot quite replicate it. In a world obsessed with visibility, the Sigma male proves that true power lies in the liberty to exist authentically, unseen and unconstrained. What sets the Sigma male apart isn't flashy wealth or charm, it's a rare inner discipline and self-mastery. Operating outside societal norms, he remains detached, yet focused, unaffected by approval, criticism, or expectation. This enigmatic freedom, coupled with unwavering purpose, makes him both admirable and enviable, quietly commanding respect without seeking it.